happy people in the city of Oakland and San Francisco. Baron Davis with a great night for the Warriors as Dallas is up big. As the Warriors are up big over Dallas, taking place each year in Los Angeles. The Midsummer Night's Dream Weekend includes a variety of events featuring celebrities and athletes, highlighted by a basketball game featuring the Baron Davis All-Stars and the Paul Pierce All-Stars. The weekend is presented by LA Stars, a charitable group composed for the Baron Davis Foundation and the Celtics Paul Pierce Trust Fund. NBA Kerr is continuing a tradition of basketball and service to the community. Baron Davis, a leader on and off the court. Marv.
All right, thank you, Pam. Here we go. Fourth quarter is underway. Dallas in possession. Maurice Ager off the bench, and he scores. So Avery Johnson with a substitution here at the start of the fourth, looking to get some scoring. First-round draft pick out of Michigan State, who did not play very much during the regular season.
He did make a couple of hoops late in Game 3 during that Warrior blowout, so at least he's gotten a taste of the series.
Here's Biedrins to the rim, flying over Curry.
But Avery Johnson has gone to an offensive lineup. No more Jop. This is a small lineup. You got basically all guards and wings on the floor, but you know what? This is exactly what Don Nelson loves. Look at Nelson's lineup. This is how he wants to play anyway.
Howard taking the pass from Nowitzki, who again drew the double team. Dallas shot just 6 for 21 in the third. Golden State 10 of 16. Jackson to the rim.
No Jop. You know, that's why Jop was on the floor so often in this series, to try to protect the rim. But we got small ball going, and you better believe the Warriors are going to attack the rim.
That's the first two-point field goal for Jackson. Offensive foul on Stackhouse. Stephen Jackson has hit 7 threes. And that one bucket on the drive for 27 points.
I don't think anybody has sat down here in the second half. I mean, I had a friend of mine call me after Game 3 from the Bay Area. He said it's the greatest sporting event he had ever attended in his life. I think a lot of people tonight are going to say the same thing.
Oh, what a pass from Barnes. Jackson scored. Now the Warriors building that lead, 92-67. Unless there is a dramatic turn, this will be just a horrendous off-season for Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavericks, as Dirk hits only his second field goal. I mean, can you imagine what these guys are going to face? Unless right now it's a miraculous turn that is needed to pull this game out. Dallas, 67 wins during the regular season, 67-15, best record in the NBA. They had those 3 long win streaks, including 17 in a row. And on the verge of being knocked out of it here by the Warriors. Davis off the mark, rebounded by Howard. Still lots of time, 9.5 to play. But the Mavericks have shown no signs. Howard. So it's a 92-71 advantage. And a delay of game is called. Second delay of game. Would mean a technical foul.
And the big thing for Golden State, I think, is to continue to attack. A turnover here, possibly, yep. Turnover here, so a little carelessness from the Warriors. And Baron Davis, we saw him settle for a long 3 on the previous possession. It's way too early to get into the stall mode. Warriors have to continue to play with that abandon that's been so good for them all series long.
And that stall mode is something they are not accustomed to, as we saw in Game 5 in those final minutes. Taken away by Barnes. 3-on-2 develops. Richardson. Rebounded by Richardson. Pushes it out. Davis for 3. Davis able to come up with the offensive board. A third consecutive possession for Golden State.
And again, that's the problem with this small lineup for Dallas. They're more likely to give up second and third opportunities.
Jackson makes the turn. Yes, and the foul. Timeout is called. When we come back, Stephen Jackson will go to the line looking for the three-point play. 94-71 Warriors. 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 94-71
What do you think, Marv?
Don Nelson in his second tour of duty with the Golden State Warriors. The last time the Warriors won a playoff series was back in 1991, exactly 16 years ago to the day. Coached by a youthful Don Nelson. They beat San Antonio in Game 4 to clinch their first-round series. It was a best-of-5. Tim Hardaway led the Warriors with 32. Chris Mullin with 23 points. And a backup point guard by the name of Avery Johnson did not play in that game for the Spurs.
And I love the young Tom Tolbert slamming home the final play. Look at Paul McKeskey, Alton Lister. You know, Don Nelson has had this type of team throughout his career. I mean, it's by design. Not really a center, open up the floor, play small. The difference, though, now to those early 90s teams, this team is physically strong and tough. Those teams couldn't defend anybody. That's why they never went anywhere in the postseason. This club is imposing physically at the guard positions, and that's one of the reasons they've been able to take Dirk Nowitzki out of this game and out of this series for the most part.
There's Terry with a three-point attempt. Davis is on it. Prior to this season, the last time Golden State made the playoffs was 1994 under Don Nelson. Since then, there were 8 head coaches, and Nelson's return represents number 9 as Barnes is sent sprawling. The foul on Adrian. Incidentally, for Stephen Jackson, who's the high point man with 31, that is a playoff career high. He's had 21 of his 31 in the second half. 8 minutes and 12 seconds to play in the fourth. And the Warriors in command, 94-71.
And still, nobody has sat down the entire half. Listen to this crowd.
Davis trying to back in, and a foul is called on Terry, a holding foul. That's 4 on Terry.
I didn't think I would ever get to the point where I could actually feel sorry for a 67-win team. I kind of feel sorry for that. Their legacy is going right down the drain, and Dirk Nowitzki's in particular, he's going to have to endure so much criticism. You know, he deserved the MVP this year, had a phenomenal season. He's a terrific guy, one of the most unassuming people you could meet, and I feel badly for Dirk and his entire team, frankly.
That's a three-point attempt, rebounded by Nowitzki, and he's fouled by Davis. And that legacy goes back to the NBA Finals last year.
Yeah, when it looked like the Mavericks had Miami, they were up 2-0, and then they lost 4 straight. Stackhouse can't get the 3 to go. Another rebound for Biedrins. But we go back again to what Flip Saunders was talking about, the final month of the season that Detroit went through a year ago. They lost their edge. This is exactly what's happened to Dallas.
Nice move by Jackson, but comes up short. And remember the statement made by Dirk after Miami came from behind to take that series. Terry puts it home. Nowitzki saying, well, we just threw it away. We gave it away to Miami, and several Heat players, particularly Wayne Wade, Shaquille O'Neal, upset, saying that, no, we won that series. We took it away. We came from behind.
And I don't think Dirk meant anything by it. He wasn't trying to criticize Miami. It was more that he was saying, hey, we kind of blew it. But Miami took it personally.
Deflected out. And last touch by Jackson. So it'll be Dallas ball. Austin Crozier will check back in.
And Stackhouse will go to the bench after that incredible first half in which he scored 18 points. Stack with just 2 here in the second.
And you look at the overall record of the Mavericks. Oh, that's a hard foul by Barnes on Ager. And let's see, Steve Javy, very quick to move out of the scene, and that's a flagrant. That's been called. It's a flagrant 1.
Good call. No play on the ball from Barnes, and that's the key. And now Ager will go to the line.
Dallas will take possession after the free throws by Ager.
You have to at least try to block the shot here, and just a 2-hand shove from Barnes. Good call by the officials.
Steve, this is a Maverick team that went 31-10 on the road. Best road record in franchise history, best road record in the NBA. Dallas has lost 5 straight road games to Golden State coming into tonight. And they've lost 5 straight road games in the playoffs going back to the NBA Finals of last year.
And I'll tell you what has really helped this team, too, is the zone defense rule that was implemented, 4 or 5 years ago into the NBA. Golden State's been in a zone for much of this series. You couldn't do that 5, 6 years ago. Things would have been a lot easier on Dirk Nowitzki under the old rule.
There's Davis with the shot clock running down, and Biedrins is right there. Warriors on most of the loose balls.
Just a step ahead of Dallas, not only in this game, but for the entire series.
Oh, beautiful one bounce pass for Richardson. Biedrins on target. Richardson with the steal. And the onslaught continues. Richardson sets his feet for 3. Yes! At a blockbuster 8-player trade with the Indiana Pacers turned the Golden State Warriors around. It did not happen immediately, but the long-range effect, the end result is what we are seeing throughout this series and here tonight. At one point, the Warriors were 26-35, and Baron Davis was recovering from the arthroscopic knee surgery. And Don Nelson at that point said, we have no shot to make the playoffs.
Well, what happened with the trade is the Warriors got much tougher and more athletic as a result. Stephen Jackson showing how fearless he is throughout this series. But defensively, Jackson's been huge, covering Nowitzki an awful lot. He loses him there, and he'll get called for the foul. But remember, Harrelson also, even though he's been a non-factor in this series, he averaged 17 points a game once he became a Warrior.
And there's the Vice President of Basketball Operations, a very happy guy, I would think, Chris Mullin, a future Hall of Famer.
And, you know, he's taken his share of heat as the Warriors GM over the years. He's made a lot of controversial moves. He's made some free agent signings that a lot of Warriors fans are scratching their heads about. But I think the best move that Chris Mullin has made was bringing back Don Nelson, because that tied everything together.
And that was a surprising development because it happened so late. It was last August he replaced Mike Montgomery, Nelly, giving up the beach in Maui to make his return. He is the second winningest coach in NBA history, his 28th season as an NBA head coach. With 1 on the shot clock, Richardson again for 3.
Just incredible. Yeah, the ball movement. There you see Dallas again trapping Davis. They're just moving the ball. They're making shots. And the ball will go back to Golden State.
The Warriors 42-40 during the regular season. They needed a win in Portland on the final night of the season to clinch that 8th and final playoff berth. Here's Barnes. And apparently holding the rim was the call. Looked like it was Biedrins. So the ball back to the Mavericks. Golden State finished the season. They won 9 of the last 10, 16 of their final 21. And for the Warriors, their first winning record since back in 93 and 94. Dirk Nowitzki getting the treatment as he heads back to the bench in what has been a nightmare. 2 for 13. Only 8 points in his 39 minutes.
Well, Mark, you brought up that Portland game that Golden State had to win in the final game of the season as Ager gets a jumper to go. Remember, Golden State played Dallas in this building in that last week, and the Mavericks chose to rest their starters. And they basically laid down. They said, Yeah, I think part of it was psychological. I think they felt like if they had played everybody and lost again, that the Warriors would have had a major psychological edge in a postseason matchup. But think about this. Had they won that game, they probably would not have faced Golden State in the first round.
The ironies of what takes place down the stretch.
This series is filled with irony.
And over the last 20 years, the team with the best record of the NBA has won the championship 10 times. Of the 12 teams, as we see Jackson fire one up as he is fouled, of the 12 teams that had 65 wins or more, all but one went on to win a title. Only the Celtics of 72-73 did not win a championship. That team went 68-14, and the Knicks and Clyde and the Pearl and Bradley, DeBusschere, Reed, Jerry Lucas won the championship, beating the Lakers, and they knocked off the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. And Don Nelson was on that Celtics team. We were talking about it with Don earlier, and I said, what do you remember about that? And well, he said John Havlicek, the great John Havlicek, had an injured right shoulder and actually played left-handed throughout the series.
Well, so often we see injuries playing a factor in the playoffs, and it sure looked like Golden State was in trouble here early when Baron Davis got injured. But we've got to look at this in a historical context. We brought up the name of Willis Reed earlier, but Baron Davis's performance tonight on the bad wheel, one of the most amazing nights you'll see in a situation like this.
That's an offensive foul, the charge on Crozier.
Well, once again, just the activity of Golden State. I think that's been the theme of this series and a lot of the NBA playoffs. We've seen it in other series as well. Speed and quickness. It's winning. You know, the teams with speed and strength and quickness who can switch defensively, who can play multiple lineups, those are the ones that are winning. That's modern day NBA basketball.
And looking ahead, you mentioned the miraculous performance here by Davis. We don't know the severity of the injury, but he's been hobbling around, and it is a pulled hamstring. Beautiful pass. Biedrins is fouled by Harris. But the concern has to be what will happen in the next series. Of course, the Warriors are happy to be thinking about a next series. They will play the winner of Houston and Utah, who will meet in a deciding Game 7 on Saturday night right here on TNT.
Well, remember in Game 5, this double team of Davis at the top of the half-court area really bothered Golden State. We asked Don Nelson about that before the game. He said, we're going to get the other man right in the middle. You saw Biedrins flash to the foul line, the bounce pass, and once the ball is right there, then it's 4-on-3 basically, and you've got a huge advantage. Biedrins making the beautiful feed to Jason Richardson.
We're down to 2 minutes and 58 seconds to play in the fourth quarter. And Michael Biedrins at the line. It is a 25-point lead for Golden State. So as we wind down, both teams that played in the NBA Finals last season, Dallas and Miami, will be out of it. Heat swept by the Bulls. Golden State will become only the third, 8th seed to beat a #1 and the first to pull it off since the NBA adopted a best-of-7 first round. That was back in 2003. Harris is off the mark. Barnes able to keep that dribble alive. And for the Warriors, this will be the first time that they've won a best-of-7 playoff series since back in 75-76. when they beat Detroit in the Western Conference semifinals, and their first round playoff win since '91, as we mentioned before, when they beat San Antonio. Davis tried to knock down that three. Substitutions now. Warriors empty the bench. Baron Davis over to hug Ronnie Lott.
Why not? Why not? And Marv, while we're talking about the Warriors, we got to look ahead because they may not be done. And they're going to face the winner of Utah and Houston. As you see Nelly and Baron sharing a laugh. Can you imagine if Houston goes on and wins that series? Can you imagine Yao Ming trying to deal with this speed?
Here's Ager firing an air ball. Crozier not able to get to it. Houston and Utah will meet in the 7th and deciding game Saturday night in Houston. Golden State taking the season series 2-1 against the
I don't know if they can handle this kind of speed. I don't think Yao Ming can keep up this kind of pace. And the Warriors can treat Tracy McGrady much the same way they've treated Dirk, with a slew of defenders, long-armed, athletic, physically strong defenders.
Harris knocks down a 3. Well, Monte Ellis has checked back in. Helena Azubuike, rookie out of Kentucky, has come on for the first time. There's Biedrins, and he is fouled by Harris. With 1:18 remaining for this Dallas Maverick season. A season that saw them win 67 games. Best record in the league. Tied for the 6th best record of all time in terms of winning percentage. Most wins in franchise history. They had the best home record in the league. They had the best road record in the league. And they are being taken out here in the first round by a team that just did make the playoffs on the final night of the regular season.
And where do the Mavericks go from here? I don't think there will be a lot of personnel changes, but in terms of emotionally, how do they enter next season? Because they laid all their cards on the table to start this year. They said, if we don't win the championship, it's a disaster. They conducted themselves like they were going to be there. So much confidence, almost an arrogance about Avery Johnson and Mark Cuban. They felt so good about the versatility of this roster, and yet they get embarrassed here in the first round. Talk about a hangover next year. I mean, how do you begin training camp?
Here's Harris coming up short. 1 minute remaining. And Powell is fouled. Josh Powell, who checked in a moment ago, one-time member of the Mavericks, originally signed as a free agent with Dallas after 2 years at North Carolina State, and he's headed for 2 free throws.
I don't know if I've ever seen a better crowd either, Marv. I mean, in my entire career of playing and watching basketball, even at the college level, you know, maybe this is something you'd see at Cameron Indoor Stadium at Duke or something, but I've never seen an entire crowd stand for the whole second half. Never seen that.
It does have that collegiate atmosphere. It's a record crowd for the Warriors, better than 20,000. A building that provides much emotion and energy, and that's been right from the opening tip. That's a three-pointer. Runas Jasikevičius making a cameo along with the Donald Foyle as Don Nelson is giving everybody a shot here in the final minute and a half. Down to 20 seconds, 4 on the shot clock. Oh, the crowd loves it. Azubuike with the bucket. 111-83. There's Ager firing a 3. And we are final seconds. The Golden State Warriors have pulled off the greatest upset in the history of the NBA playoffs. They have defeated the Dallas Mavericks in 6 as the confetti comes from above. 111-86, the final score. And now the Warriors can wait for the winner between Houston and Utah. That will be decided in Houston on Saturday night. Now time for tonight's closer of the game, presented by TNT's The Closer.
Well, Baron Davis, I mean, we didn't know if he was going to play after that hamstring injury early, and he had to resort to three-point shots in the first half. But I thought what was most impressive was the way he continued to attack the rim in the second half. We didn't know if he could do anything like that on that one leg, but he got into the paint